A legend who gracefully stepped away from the game in a really emotional farewell, leaving behind a legacy that, well, it transcends mere statistics. We're talking about the one and only Roger Federer.
That's right. And you sent us an incredible collection of sources. I mean, everything from deep dives into his career stats to personal anecdotes and critical analyses of his game. Our mission today is to kind of distill all of that, to extract the most compelling insights and really help explain why Roger Federer became such a global icon. The Swiss maestro, the man who redefined tennis.
Exactly. So we'll explore his fascinating journey, right, from a young, maybe kind of fiery talent to this picture of calm dominance. We'll unpack the unique artistry of his playing style, revisit those iconic rivalries that just captivated the world, and delve into his immense impact, both on and off the court.
And, of course, we can't really skip the enduring debate, can we? Where does he truly stand in that whole greatest of all time conversation?
Yeah, definitely need to touch on that. But look, to truly understand the legend, I think we have to go back, right back to where it all began, to a young boy in Basel whose early passion for the game was, well, it was obvious, but whose path to greatness wasn't exactly straightforward. What were those crucial, formative years like?
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it? Roger Federer, born in Basel, Switzerland, 1981. He had dual Swiss and South African citizenship through his parents. But what really jumps out is that he picked up a racket at just 3 years old. I mean, that signals an almost like preternatural connection to the sport right from the start.
3 years old. That's incredible. And it wasn't just early exposure, was it? His talent, it was recognized almost immediately.
Oh, absolutely. By age 6, people were already saying he was the best in his age group, which is, astonishing. And by 8, he was enrolled in the elite junior program at the Old Boys Tennis Club in Basel. He had a few early coaches. Adolf Kakowski was one. But one name consistently comes up as just profoundly influential.
Peter Carter.
Right, Peter Carter. Federer himself later credited Carter for shaping his entire technique and coolness, which suggests that even his famous composure, that started to be cultivated really early on.
And what's interesting, is that it wasn't just tennis for him growing up. He was a real multi-sport kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Dabbling in badminton, basketball, football. I think our sources mentioned skiing and swimming, too. And playing soft tennis on the street for hours.
Yeah.
He credited that wide range of activities for his exceptional hand-eye coordination. Do you think that diverse athletic background maybe gave him a unique edge, in terms of his movement and court sense compared to players who specialize much earlier?
Oh, I think it absolutely played a role.
Yeah.
That broad athletic base likely contributed to his fluid movement, his incredible court coverage. It probably helped make him that all-court player rather than someone just honed for one specific surface or style. It speaks to a natural athleticism that was nurtured broadly before he really focused in.
And that focus came around age 12, right, when he decided just tennis.
Exactly. He made that pivotal decision, apparently feeling he had more control over the outcomes in an individual sport, which is a fascinating insight into his competitive mindset, even back then. And here's a fun fact. He was actually a ball boy at his hometown event, the Swiss Indoors, in 92 and 93.
No way. That's a great little detail sort of foreshadowing his future. His dedication clearly intensified from there. He won the U14 Swiss National Junior Championship and then at 14 moved to the Swiss National Tennis Center. Learned French there too. By 16, he made that huge decision to leave school and turn professional.
And his 1998 junior year was, well, it was basically a preview of what was to come, wasn't it? Winning Junior Wimbledon, the prestigious Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
Finishing as junior world number 1. Just dominant.
But despite all that early success, there was a deeply personal turning point in 2002.
Yes, the tragic death of Peter Carter, his former coach, in a car crash. That's such a poignant detail in his story, and Federer openly called it a wake-up call. It really makes you wonder how much of that early dominance that followed, especially his first major win at Wimbledon the very next year, 2003, how much of that was fueled by wanting to honor Peter's memory. He explicitly dedicated that title to Carter.
You have to think it shaped him profoundly, mentally, emotionally. How much do you think that moment changed his approach?
It feels like a massive turning point. Maybe the moment he truly transitioned from that sometimes hot-headed junior into the composed champion we remember. And that Wimbledon win in 2003, it wasn't just a title. It felt like the emotional ignition point for an absolutely astonishing era of dominance, one that really reshaped tennis.
Okay, so let's talk about that era, his peak. When we look at it, what are the numbers that really define this incredible reign?
Well, the numbers are, frankly, staggering.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the story they tell, I think, that's truly captivating. Federer spent an unbelievable 310 weeks as world number one. That's second only to Djokovic, yes, but here's the truly mind-boggling part.
The consecutive streaks.
The consecutive streak. A record 237 consecutive weeks at the top. Just think about that. Over 4.5 years without anyone else claiming that number one spot. Plus, he finished his year-end number one 5 times. That kind of sustained excellence, it's not just about winning matches. It's about an almost unbreakable psychological grip on the store.
It's almost superhuman. You almost have to stop and remind yourself we're talking about a human being here, not some kind of like tennis playing machine. And what absolutely floored me in the sources was the sheer consistency during his peak. I mean, reaching 18 out of 19 Grand Slam finals from Wimbledon 2005 to the Aussie Open 2010. How does a player even do that in such a physically grueling sport?
Exactly. That's not just consistency. The sources talk about an invincibility aura.
Yeah.
Like, opponents felt psychologically defeated before they even stepped on court.
Yeah.
And if you zoom out even further, he reached 22 finals out of 27 slams from Wimbledon '03 to the Australian Open in 2010. That's just wild.
And something unique too, right? Winning 3 majors in a year, multiple times.
Yes, that's another layer. Winning 3 majors in a single year for 3 separate years, 2004, 2006, and 2007. This wasn't just dominance, it was absolute supremacy across different surfaces, different conditions. It really reset the bar for what everyone thought was possible.
And the Grand Slam titles themselves, we know the total count is 23rd behind Nadal and Djokovic now. But within that total, he set some pretty remarkable specific records, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. His record 8 Wimbledon titles, that stands alone in the men's game, and includes a joint record 5 in a row there, just owned center court. And then at the U.S. Open, he holds an Open-era joint record 5 titles, including a record 5 consecutive ones there, too. These aren't just numbers. They show this incredible adaptability across vastly different surfaces. The lightning-fast grass of Wimbledon, the hard courts of Flushing Meadows, it proves his tactical genius and physical endurance under really diverse pressures.
And beyond the slams, his achievements just keep stacking up, don't they?
They really do. 103 ATP Tour singles titles, second most in the Open era, behind Connors. He won the prestigious year-end championship 6 times, which is a real testament to performing at the absolute highest level throughout an entire grueling season.
Plus the Olympics.
Right. Olympic doubles gold in Beijing in 2008 with Stan Wawrinka, and then singles silver in London 2012. He even led Switzerland to a Davis Cup win in 2014, finally getting that team trophy, and secured a record 3 Hopman Cup titles for Switzerland.
And we can't overlook his longevity either, becoming the oldest ATP World #1 in 2018.
How old was he?
36 years and 195 days.
Yeah.
Incredible. A testament to his dedication, his evolution, how he managed his body. He also hit his 100th career singles title, his 1,200th match win, all contributing to, well, over $130 million in career prize money. These are the stats of a true titan, sustained over decades.
So we've covered the sheer numbers, the incredible reign, but beyond the trophies, what truly set Federer apart for so many people was the way he played. That effortless artistry almost. What made his playing style so captivating, so unique, that it earned the moniker the Federer effect.
Well, what's truly striking, I think, is his effortless versatility. You mentioned Jimmy Connors earlier, right? His famous quote sums it up perfectly. In an era of specialists, you're either a clay court specialist, a grass court specialist, or a hard court specialist.
Right.
Or you're Roger Federer.
Yeah.
He was an all-court, all-around player, known for his speed, that fluid style, and just exceptional shot making.
Okay, let's break down the anatomy of his game a bit, starting with that forehand. Often called the best ever. David Foster Wallace called it a great liquid whip. John McEnroe said, the greatest shot in our sport. What made it so universally admired and, well, so effective?
It wasn't just a powerful shot. It felt like a psychological weapon sometimes. It could generate extreme topspin, create amazing angles, hit flat winners, often hit with that remarkably straight arm, which gave it this unpredictable trajectory. It let him dictate play constantly, and it could mentally break opponents who just couldn't anticipate its, multifaceted attack. It was beautiful, sure, but also brutally effective.
Then there's a one-handed backhand, often described as beautiful, technically very sound, mostly used with topspin for consistency, setting up the forehand. But I've heard some argue, that it was maybe a relative weakness against certain opponents. What's the thinking there?
Yeah, you hear that sometimes. It was certainly his less overtly offensive wing compared to the forehand, but calling it a weakness feels a bit unfair, maybe. It was an elegant shot, often used beautifully to neutralize pace, construct points intelligently. Some sources do suggest he could have been even more offensive with it, especially against Nadal's heavy topspin forehand, hammering that side. But interestingly, when he did step in and really attack Nadal's forehand with that backhand, particularly later in his career, he often found success, which maybe highlights its potential, even if it wasn't his primary weapon.
And he also had a fantastic slice backhand, a real tool.
Oh, absolutely. His slice was like a strategic masterpiece. Used it for neutralizing in defense, mixing up the pace constantly, luring opponents to the net, setting up approaches, a crucial part of his versatile arsenal. And speaking of maybe underrated shots, his serve, it wasn't always the absolute fastest, but it was incredibly effective.
Precision and deception, right.
Exactly. Unbelievable precision and just very hard to read.
Yeah.
There was a BBC analysis that showed his ball toss and body position stayed incredibly consistent until just before contact, made it almost impossible for opponents to anticipate where the serve was going. Just a masterclass in disguise and placement.
And beyond the ground strokes, he was excellent at the net. Really solid volleys. He even innovated with things like the SABR, the sneak attack by Roger, that aggressive serve return, charging forward on his second serve. Often caught opponents completely off guard. Pure genius sometimes.
Totally. And of course, he wasn't afraid to entertain with the occasional tweener shot, right? Like that famous one in the 2009 U.S. Open semifinals against Djokovic. Showcased his incredible touch and, well, flair.
What's also fascinating here, though, is his transformation beyond just the game itself, his demeanor.
Yeah, that's a huge part of his story. From being known as a bit of a hothead as a junior, prone to racket abuse and emotional outbursts, he evolved into this player admired globally for his cool demeanor and emotional control. It was a remarkable shift.
And the awards reflect that, don't they? The Sportsmanship Awards.
13 Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Awards. Voted by the players themselves. That says a lot. And 5 Laureus World Sportsman of the Year awards, too. Just testament to that graciousness and the respect he commanded.
And something maybe overlooked sometimes when discussing his peak performance, especially his longevity, was a significant equipment change mid-career.
Ah, yes, the racket change.
In 2014, switching from that smaller 90 square inch frame to a larger 97 square inch Wilson Pro Staff RF97 autograph. That seems like a huge pivot for a top athlete, especially mid-career. What was the strategic thinking there?
Well, it feels like a crucial, almost career-extending move in hindsight. It wasn't just about, keeping up with his rivals who were already using larger, more powerful frames, though that was part of it. This change allowed him to generate more power and, maybe more importantly, more spin on his backhand. That was crucial against the relentless topspin of Nadal and also against the aggressive baseline game of Djokovic. It really helped him stay competitive at the very, very top for several more years. Shows his adaptability, his willingness to evolve even late in his career.
You absolutely can't tell the story of Roger Federer without diving into the rivalries, the ones that truly defined an era, especially his epic battles with Rafael Nadal.
Oh, definitely. Their rivalry is, it's widely seen as one of the greatest in tennis history, maybe sports history.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the individual matches, amazing as they were. They essentially co-dominated the sport for years.
Holding the top 2 spots for so long.
Exactly. They held the top 2 ATP rankings for these really extended periods. July 2005 to August 2009. That's huge. And then again later, September 2017 to October 2018. Yeah. And they were the only pair ever to finish 6 consecutive calendar years ranked number 1 and number 2. It wasn't just 2 great players. It was like a dual reign that pushed the entire sport to new heights.
And of course, that iconic Wimbledon 2008 final against Nadal, it's almost mythical now, often called the best match ever played. Why does that specific match resonate so deeply, do you think?
Oh, it had everything, didn't it? A 5-set epic, nearly 5 hours long. Yeah. A true clash of styles on Federer's most dominant surface, grass. Remember, Federer had won 5 straight Wimbledon titles going into that. Nadal was the undisputed king of clay, but he was seriously pushing onto grass. The sheer drama, the unbelievable quality of play from both, the fading light, the stakes. It was just everything you could possibly ask for in a tennis match. Monumental.
And their head-to-head record tells an interesting story, too, doesn't it? The surface difference.
Yeah, it really does. Federer actually had a winning record against Nadal off clay, 14-10. But Nadal completely dominated him on the clay courts, 14-2. It truly highlighted their distinct strengths and how effectively they could challenge each other's relative weaknesses. Made every match compelling.
Then there are his battles with Novak Djokovic, another defining rivalry, producing some absolute classics. Federer beat Djokovic in the 2007 U.S. Open final, I remember that one, and he notably ended Djokovic's crazy 28-match win streak in China, right? Shanghai 2014. And didn't he also stop Djokovic's incredible 41-0 start to the 2011 season?
Yes.
Right.
At the French Open semifinals in 2011, that was a huge upset at the time, ending that unbelievable run. But, Djokovic certainly returned the favor, didn't he? Particularly at Wimbledon, beating Federer in 3 finals there, 2014, 2015, and that incredibly dramatic, nearly 5-hour final in 2019, where Djokovic saved 2 match points on Federer's serve to win. It's heartbreaking for Federer fans.
And what's crucial context for these rivalries, something the sources point out, is the age difference.
Absolutely critical. Federer was several years older than both Nadal and Djokovic. So for much of their rivalry, he was competing against them as they were hitting their absolute primes while he was, maybe slightly past his own physical peak, which just speaks volumes about his own longevity, his skill, and how he consistently adapted his game to face these rising titans. It makes his achievements arguably even more impressive.
And while the big three rightly get the spotlight, we shouldn't forget Federer had significant rivalries with other top players too. Andy Roddick, Andy Murray, Leighton Hewitt, Marat Safin, Juan Martín del Potro.
Yeah, exactly. Each of them pushed him in different ways at different times throughout his career. Led to some incredibly memorable matches and moments. He wasn't just battling Rafa and Novak.
Okay, moving beyond the baseline now. Federer, the global icon. He's recognized as much for his character, his off-court work, as his athleticism.
That's very true. He established the Roger Federer Foundation back in 2003. Its focus is on helping impoverished children, mainly in southern Africa, access education. And the numbers are significant. The foundation has spent over $70 million, assisted over 9,300 schools. It's a serious long-term commitment. He's also been a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador for years, involved in numerous charity events, Rally for Relief, Hit for Haiti, those Match for Africa events.
Yeah, the one where he played doubles with Bill Gates, that got a lot of attention.
Exactly, shows his reach. And then there's the whole brand Federer, just massive.
One of the highest paid athletes for years, mostly through endorsements, right?
Oh, yeah. He was earning like $100 million just in endorsements in 2020 alone. Huge deals. After that long-standing partnership with Nike ended, he signed that massive $300 million 10-year deal with Uniqlo. And then the partnership with the Swiss shoe company on Earth is interesting too. He became a shareholder, released the Rogers shoe line. So he's actively involved in the business, not just lending his name.
And the nicknames. FedEx, Swiss Maestro, King Roger.
Yeah, and that fun one, Darth Federer, at the 2007 U.S. Open when they played the Imperial March as he walked out, shows he had a sense of humor about his dominance too.
His cultural influence is just remarkable, isn't it? Extending far beyond tennis fans.
It really is. There was a 2011 study on respected personalities globally. He ranked second only to Nelson Mandela. That's incredible reach. In 2016, he was apparently the most recognizable person from Switzerland. He starred in those memorable TV ads like playing tennis legends from Mercedes-Benz and becoming an unpaid spokesman for Switzerland tourism, doing those short films with Hollywood actors like Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway and Trevor Noah. That willingness to promote his country, often for free, shows a unique kind of commitment.
And the tributes paid to him are just as unique and heartfelt.
Yeah.
Streets named after him.
Yep. There's a Roger Federer alley in Halle, Germany, where he won so many titles, and one L.A. Roger Federer in Biel, Switzerland, near the National Tennis Center. His hometown of Basel even named a tram the Federer Express, covered it in pictures from his career. That's pretty cool.
Very cool. He's received honorary doctorates, too, from the University of Basel and Dartmouth. And this one is amazing, becoming the first living person ever celebrated on Swiss coins, both 20 franc and 50 franc versions. Plus, special edition stamps from Swiss Post and even Austria's postal service.
It's clear his impact just goes miles beyond athletic achievement. And now there's that 2024 Amazon Prime documentary, Federer, 12 Final Days, covering his emotional retirement at the Laver Cup. Gives you a real inside look.
Okay, so all of this brings us, inevitably, to the GOAT debate, greatest of all time. It's a discussion that often pits the hard statistics against something more intangible.
Exactly. And statistically, while Federer holds those 20 Grand Slam titles, it's undeniable now that Nadal has 22 and Djokovic has 24. They surpassed his count. And some sources, some arguments, do point out that his early period of dominance, say 2004, 2007, was arguably against a slightly weaker era before the big three fully formed and peaked together. That's a point worth considering in the debate.
But then there's the counter-argument, the one focused on, let's call it the aesthetic and impact argument.
Right. For many, many fans and analysts, greatness isn't just about the numbers on the spreadsheet. Federer is described as elegance personified. You hear phrases like effortless beauty of movement and strokes, an ability to play in near God mode at times. It's about the way he played.
Richard Gasquet, another player with a beautiful one-handed backhand, he famously said that aesthetics and grace are more important than the Grand Slam count, calling Federer irreplaceable and the greatest. So is this just subjective preference, a matter of taste, or is there something deeper to this argument?
Well, I think it's probably both, isn't it? This perspective suggests that Federer didn't just win. He fundamentally changed the game. He elevated the entire sport. He set this incredible benchmark for professionalism, for grace under pressure, for sustained excellence over such a long period. And in doing so, he arguably forced Nadal and Djokovic to reach entirely new levels to even compete with him. Some sources even argue that, without Federer setting that bar so high, Rafa and Novak might not have become the players they eventually did, because they were constantly pushed to innovate and improve just to contend with his brilliance.
And that invincibility aura you mentioned earlier.
That plays into it too. That period from 2004-2007 where opponents often felt mentally beaten before they even stepped on court, that's not just about technique. It's about a psychological dominance built on consistent, overwhelming performance in this era of effortlessness.
His consistency and resilience are also key parts of the argument for him, even looking beyond just the wins. Those long consecutive streaks at world number one in Grand Slam semis and finals.
Absolutely highlighted. And there's another fascinating statistic some sources bring up. Apparently, Federer has lost the most matches in history, where he actually won more points than his opponent, 36 times, including in 2 Grand Slam finals.
Wow, that's a wild stat. What does that even signify?
Well, proponents argue it shows how incredibly difficult he was to actually beat, even in defeat. That his level was so consistently high that opponents had to play absolutely clutch points, the biggest points, to get over the line against him, even if he was controlling more of the overall play. It speaks to an incredibly high baseline, even when the final score didn't go his way.
So ultimately, where does that leave us with the GOP debate?
I think it leaves us acknowledging that it's inherently subjective. And maybe that's okay. It really invites you, the listener, to weigh the different metrics for yourself. Do you prioritize the raw statistical records, or do you give more weight to artistic impact, influence on the sport, the feel of watching someone play? There's no single right answer, and perhaps that's what makes the discussion so enduring and interesting.
It really is. So we've journeyed through the remarkable life and career of Roger Federer, from that kid in Basel with a passion for tennis to this absolute global icon. We've seen how his elegant style, his incredible dominance for so many years, and his really impactful off-court presence created a legacy that, it extends far beyond just wins and titles. He truly was, and remains, a maestro of the sport.
Absolutely. His retirement in 2022, watching him at the Laver Cup alongside Rafa,
It
really marked the end of an era on the court, a very emotional moment for tennis. But his influence on the game, and really on global sport as a whole, you feel that's going to continue to resonate for generations to come. He leaves behind not just records, but maybe more importantly, a vision of what it means to excel with grace, with determination, and with a profound, visible connection to the game itself.
So as we consider his unparalleled blend of achievement and artistry, maybe the final thought for you, our listeners, is this. What does Roger Federer's journey teach us about the true measure of greatness, not just in sport, but maybe in any field? And
he's got a bit of a smile about him.
What was the most surprising or inspiring aspect of Roger Federer's life and career that you discovered in this video? Share your favorite Federer moments and memories in the comments below. Thank you for watching this episode. Hit like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.